Hi, I'm Maryanne, and the name of my company is Viaggio. Viaggio means the voyage in Italian, and the company was started about 15 years ago. I have many, many years of experience in Italy, in as much as I lived in Florence and in Rome for over 20 years. And I've been living in Arizona for the last 22 years, but I go back to Italy at least once a year. So I stay very much in touch with Italy. Umbria, the region of Umbria, is known as the green heart of Italy. It's right sort of in the middle of the country. And it's called the Green Heart because it's so well known for its agriculture. Years ago they grew tobacco. I don't even know that they grow tobacco anymore, but they definitely, there are many vineyards. We were talking about on the video about the Sagrantino wine. What's kind of interesting about the Sagrantino wine is the base of that word is sagra or sacra, which would mean sacred. So initially it was made as a wine, sort of like a holy wine. And then a few years ago I actually met the grandson of the man who decided to make it more of a table wine and less of a holy wine. The holy ones are usually sweeter wines. Sort of another interesting little anecdote about the Sagrantino wine is that when Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones married, that's what they served at their wedding.
Yes.
Yes. So
and we're going.
The idea is that everyone will arrive on their own into Rome, because some people may, want to spend some days in Rome before the group arrives. They may be coming from, a different European city, etc. So we'll just make it easy if everybody arrives into Rome. And the idea is that everyone will arrive by 11 a.m. so you can be transferred up to Maryanne. The transfer time will be about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And it's a very nice drive on the way up there. And Maryanne is really only about 15 minutes by car from Assisi. So this is what's really nice about it. You have the tranquility of the countryside, but if you decide in the evening that you want to go into the city of Assisi, you can definitely do that. And even in Umbria, when we talk about cities, they're not huge cities anyway. The capital of the region is Perugia, and Perugia only has about 150,000 people, so they're not really, really, really big cities there. And Assisi is the same. It's not very, very large. So the day after you arrive, you'll visit Assisi with a guide, and then go to Perugia. And Perugia is known for their chocolates, in addition to the University for Foreigners and many other things. So you'll have an opportunity to visit Perugia as well and do a chocolate tasting. Have any of you ever tried the baci? The Italian chocolates, one that come with a message in them. Well, they're in sort of a silver.
Yes, it's a kiss.
It's a kiss, exactly. It's a silver type of paper with little stars on it. Inside every chocolate, there's a little message, and it's written in various languages. And they're called baci perugina because it comes from Perugia. So then the next day you'll be going to Norcia. Now, to me, so much of Italy is about what you eat. Food is very important in Italy. So in the region of Umbria in general, they do a lot of grilled meats. And Norcia is known for their ham, salami, salsiccia, which are sausages, etc. So you'll have an opportunity to see that. You'll be passing by butcher shops where you'll see all these products, etc. And that's where you're going to do a cooking class. And then there'll be free time in the afternoon. Because when Sue and I were working on this itinerary, we were actually going to plan sort of a hike. And we thought, well, maybe some participants would like to hike and some may just want to relax in the piazza San Benedetto that we were looking at on the video. And that would be a great way to spend the afternoon as well. Now, we've included some meals in these, in others. For example, on the October 2nd, dinner is on your own, because the idea was that you were going to have probably a pretty big lunch, and that you might want to have a lighter dinner. And you can always have dinner at Malvarina, because they do prepare dinner every evening, or you'll be able to go in to Assisi. Then on the 3rd, we have a visit to a cashmere producer. I do have an article, by the way, on this gentleman. His name is Brunello Cucinello, and he took a medieval village, more like a hamlet, and basically turned it into the headquarters for his business. So it's very, very interesting. And you can even, I'll give you the website if you want to see some of the things that you'll then be going on to Montefalco, where there will be a tasting at an olive oil mill, and the olive oil mill is actually run by women. We're seeing more and more of that in Italy. It's the case also with wine producers. It used to be mainly a man's business. That's not the case anymore. It is being passed on. Sometimes it's, father to daughter. Maybe there weren't any sons, or maybe the son was not interested in continuing the family business. You'll have a tasting of the olive oil, and then in the afternoon, a tasting of the Sargentino wine. Then on the 4th of October, you'll be going a relatively short distance, because to travel from Assisi to Siena is probably only about an hour and a half, I would say. But on the way, you'll stop at Lake Trasimeno, which is a relatively large lake that borders between the regions of Umbria and Tuscany, and you'll have a chance to walk around there before you arrive into Siena. Now, one of the reasons that Sue and I decided, after staying at a farmhouse in Umbria, to have you stay in Siena was the idea that you would have the possibility of going into Florence very easily if you wanted to. If you're staying out in the countryside, transportation might be a little bit more of a problem. But if you're staying in Siena, you'll be able to go into Florence either by bus. It only takes about an hour and 15 minutes, and there are also trains that go there. It turns out that the buses are a little faster than the trains. So that's a possibility for everyone. And if you haven't been to Florence, or you haven't been to Florence in a long time, and you want to see the museums, I'll be happy to make reservations for you so you don't stand in line. So you'll arrive into Florence, you'll go to the Accademia where Michelangelo's David is. You'll go right in, you won't have to wait in line. If you want to go over to the Uffizi Gallery, which has a vast collection of Renaissance art, same thing, we'll have a reservation for you, and you'll just go right in. Friday, October 5th, we've left that as a free day. So it's a free day to relax in Siena if you want to, and Siena is a spectacularly beautiful city. It really, really is very, very lovely. You can go to Florence. You may want to go to San Gimignano, which is the town with all the medieval towers. There are numerous options that we can offer to you on that. I was very excited when Sue and I sat down to discuss this itinerary, because I realized that you were going to be near Arezzo on the first weekend of October. And for years, because I remember when I was in college and they were doing this, the first weekend of every month, Arezzo has an antique fair. And years ago, it was just in the main piazza of Arezzo. It is now spread out to all of the surrounding streets. And it's really, really a lot of fun to go there and see the different types of antiques. You may not buy anything, but you might be inspired by something, find something of interest. I have to confess that I do have 2 nightstands that I fell in love with one time when I was in Arezzo, and to this day I enjoy them very much. As I said, I kind of furnished my house via FedEx.
As I say, they're hard to get things shipped, right? Not too.
Not really. Mm-hmm. They're not really big. So it was, and that will be a really fun day for you. In addition, Arezzo is also known for the artist Piero della Francesca, and he was one of the first to go into a more full-figured type of painting, because they used to be very flat. And you really should see some of the paintings, the frescoes by Piero della Francesca, because they're beautiful colors and the figures are just very full, and you can get an idea also of how the people dressed at that time. They're really, really fabulous. And then you'll have a farewell dinner in Siena. And I'm very sorry, but the next day some people will be coming back to the United States, but maybe some will be staying on.
They went by so fast.
Did you talk about the place that we're in Umbria?
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
I missed it.
yes, Margherita it's a country estate. As Sue indicated on the video, there is the grandma, the nonna, who does cooking classes, and I guarantee you will never go to bed hungry. You will probably overeat because they just bring out more and more and more food. And for example, they make their own cheese there. I'm quite sure they probably make their own salami. So it will be a very interesting place for you to stay and visit. And we have had numerous clients. We've had other women's groups stay there, and they've really, really loved it. It's a beautiful, beautiful place.
What are the rooms like?
They're necessarily small. You're never going to find very large rooms in Italy in general. Umbria is also known for their woodworking, and they do very nice wood furniture. So you'll see some of those typical type of furnishings in the rooms. There's a private bath in every room.
What's the weather like that time of year?
Actually, at that time of year, it should be perfect. Low 70s during the day, probably get down to maybe mid-50s at night, but it should be very, very, very pleasant. Very nice. And generally, well, and this is what they always hope for at that time of year, because the harvest is usually towards the end of September, the grape harvest. And they want for it to be sunny because, yes, grapes do need water, but you don't want it as you get close to the harvest, because then they drink up too much of the water and the alcohol content will not be as high. So I have been to Umbria numerous times at this time of year, and the colors are really, really spectacular. Really, really, really beautiful.
Can you talk about the insurance, travel insurance that we should be getting?
I always recommend to clients that they purchase travel insurance, because people have said to me over the years, oh, I'm traveling no matter what. Well, no matter what can present itself in many, many ways.
Of course.
And I'll be happy to provide you with a cost for that. Travel insurance can be purchased either to cover you just for any medical emergencies or issues while you're traveling, or it can be combined with a trip cancellation cost. So let's say you make final payment on your trip, and 20 days prior, either you were unable to travel for a medical reason, someone in your family is unable to travel for a medical reason, you would be reimbursed for your travel expenses if you cannot travel. And I will tell you, over the 15 years that I've been in this business, that there have been numerous instances of people who have found themselves in that situation. And it really is a very, very good idea to purchase travel insurance. Italians don't use washcloths. So if you use a washcloth, say to wash your face, etc., take some washcloths with you. Obviously, you will all need a passport. And passports do need to be valid for at least 6 months from your date of return. So keep that in mind when you are looking at your passport. Make sure that it is valid. With regard to money, what I have found is that it's probably best to try to use your ATM card when you're there.